Hey everybody, welcome to the Pucknology Writers Room. So for those wondering, why am I watching this and why am I not watching Pucknology After Dark, or why, if I watch Pucknology After Dark, I should watch this show, the main thing we're trying to do here is kind of just have a show where we can talk about things that are kind of all things hockey. Like, I'm not saying we'll never talk about the Sharks, we most certainly will, but tonight, for example, we're going to take your mind off of all things Sharks, which I think we all need, to be completely honest. We're just going to pick a few topics out of the air, and we're just going to kind of, hammer them down, and maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. I have no idea, but that's what it is. So, welcome to the Pucknology Writers Room. Introduce everyone around the table. The box on my far left is Mr. Aidan Carlsen, writer for Pucknology.net.
Hey guys.
In the middle box is Drew Weber, also writer for Pucknology.net.
What's up, everyone?
And to my immediate left is Mr. Kevin Lacy, occasional After Dark contributor.
Hey guys, if I had my stuff together, I would have my little name bar right now, but I don't know what the heck I'm doing. But thanks a lot for having me on your show. I'm looking forward to some good old hockey banter here, and I hope you guys watching love it and subscribe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, and of course, I'm Ian Reid at I Read Pucknology. You know me from Pucknology After Dark, Teal Tinted Glasses, I Have No Life, blah, blah, blah. All right. So let's get down to business here. I think one of the topics I kind of wanted to discuss when we were first talking about doing this show was how much money is too much money to spend on a goalie. Because if you look at the conference finals, all the goalies are making insignificant amounts of money, except for Marc-Andre Fleury, of course, who is riding the bench. So to me, I guess that's kind of where I'd like to start. How much money is too much money for a goaltender? Anyone?
Yeah, I think spending over $6 million, $5 to $6 million, is a little too much for a goalie. Just because, I mean, you can have you got a team like, or a player like Lundqvist, who's amazing. He deserves the money he's making. He's doing great. But the problem though is that when you throw so much money at the goalie, you don't have enough money to shore up a good defense or offense. I think we saw that with the Rangers. Their defense wasn't that great this season, and that extra, he's getting $8.5 million a year right now. I think that if he got a little bit less or something, they could spend that money to put a better defense in front of him, and then he'd be able to play better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Absolutely. Drew?
I agree with Aidan, actually. I would go a little bit higher. I'd say no more than $7 million. And actually, I was going to bring up the same thing where it's like you pay $8.5 million for a goalie like Lundqvist, who I'll say is definitely an above-average elite goaltender. But because you're throwing so much money at him, you can't spend that elsewhere, like on defense or on the depth forwards. And then you look at somebody like Corey Crawford, who's making $6 million a year. He's not putting up as good of numbers as Lundqvist is, but yet the team in front of him is better, and he's won 2 Stanley Cups because of it. That's why Lundqvist has zeros, because the team around him isn't as good as Chicago.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on that. I think about $6 million for your top end goalie is good, and if you've got an elite goalie, you can go a little bit higher. I think the healthy range would be for your tandem is $7 to $7.5 million, because you've got your $6 million goalie, and then most of the quality backups in the NHL are making between $800,000 and $1.5 million. So add that with the 6, you got a nice range, which is why you look at a team like the Stars, who have what, 13 million or something like that tied up.
10.3
or 3, yeah. I knew it was 10 something.
10.5. Yeah. Am I still there?
No, I'm here. Yeah,
okay.
I think
I lost my screen.
That's all right. I think I agree for the most part. I think I think this kind of goes for any position. When I look at goaltending specifically, I think it's easy to pick on goaltenders because there's one guy that plays the position, and when you have a $7 million guy like, let's say, Pekka Rinne, who for the most part has had his moments. He wasn't really spectacular this year, and I think I don't perfectly blame Game 7 on him, but I think that there was, he was definitely a factor in that game. And I just feel like with depth being so important, when you look at what a team like Pittsburgh's doing right now, and you could argue they're probably the deeper team. When you're paying anybody over 7, you're really, that's anything over that, you're just taking money away from a depth forward, a depth defenseman. I think, Aidan hit it right on the head at the start. I think, and it's not just goalies. I mean, we can say, oh well, look at Lundqvist with his, $7 million. Well, look at Rick Nash. Look at, So I think that I think it's just a problem with like too much. Maybe it's just a problem with too much allocated to one player more than just a goaltender.
And it's like with a goaltender. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the other thing about goaltending nowadays is there are so many quality goaltenders in the NHL, and even guys that have to be buried in the AHL because there's so much talent in the NHL that the middle bar is getting raised. So if you're paying a guy that like $8 million, he might not necessarily be that much better than the guy making 3.5.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
I think we're seeing that with Detroit, with Jimmy Howard. He's getting paid. I don't know how much. Yeah, he's getting paid a lot of money.
Five and a half or something.
Yeah. And then you got Peter Mrazek, who's getting like half that or something, or like $3 million. I'm not sure.
Not even. I think he's an RF. If I saw it correctly, he's an RFA, and he was making like not his entry level or something.
And I mean, he took over the job towards the end from Howard.
Really, the last 2 years, he's kind of been the guy. So here, just so we have our numbers straight here, goalies. Peter Howard is, or Jimmy Howard, sorry, Peter Howard. Jimmy Howard's 5.2, basically 5.3 million, and Peter Mrazek is coming off the last year of his ELC. It looks like to me, because he's only making 737.5.
Oh, even less than I thought. So it's not even league. It wasn't even ELC max. So now a team like Detroit is gonna probably give him a nice payday. What would you guys say, like 3.5? Since he kind of faltered towards the end, you think 3.5? But then that's $9 million tied up in your goaltending alone.
Yeah. No, I completely concur. So I guess pretty across the board agreement that we probably. It seems like if you're paying more than $7 million for your goaltending, you're probably doing it wrong as a whole. I think we probably agree. Yeah,
and there's a lot of great goaltenders making around $6 million. You have Corey Crawford, who's won 2 cups in Chicago. You have Corey Schneider, who's like, I will always defend as a top 5 goaltender in this league, even though he plays on a garbage New Jersey team. He's putting up above average numbers, and he's only making $6 million a year too. So there's good talent out there for $6 million. I mean, I don't think you need to drop much more than that just to get a Lundqvist or a Quick.
And I definitely think teams before they drop 8 million, 7.5 on a goalie, they want to make sure that they have a deep the rest of the team is set. I think that you need to make sure you have a good defense in front of you and a good offense that can score as well.
I like that you brought up Chicago, Drew, because we know about their cap issues and whatnot, but they handled their tandems really well. Because you look at it where it was Crawford and Ranta, and as soon as Ranta was going to get a little payday, he got shipped off to the Rangers, and they brought in or they have Darling now. Darling's making what, $800,000, and so they're still in a nice little range for the payday with the backup, and then. Darling, I think, is a UFA here in a couple of years, or maybe after next year. But they just signed Lars Johansson from Sweden. He'll probably be backing up Crawford the following year. Again, maybe, 700,000. So they have a nice little flow of always making sure their backup is effective but cheap.
Exactly. You don't need your backup goaltender to steal a game. You just need him to not lose the game for you.
Right.
I guess that's a good point too when you bring that up, because I think one thing I think we're agreeing on is we're not going to see after 2010 when it was Michael Leighton and Antti Niemi. I don't think we're going to see everyone be like, we don't need to spend money on a goalie. Who needs a goalie? I think we're pretty much in agreement that that's not going to be a thing again. I hope.
Yeah. Well,
Michael
that kind of
Lee.
brought the prices for goal or the salaries for goaltending down a little bit too. But that you see that creeping back up with everything else.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if you don't pay them, you're going to lose them. So if you're Washington and you have a guy like Braden Holtby, you're not going to just let him walk.
No.
Hey, buddy. Oh, coughing. Coughing.
So I wanted
Sorry.
to ask you guys about the big elephant in the room. What is Dallas going to do?
Oh,
Apparently they're going to let it
Implode.
ride.
I think, Dallas, as in a terrible situation as they are, it's not the timing is actually okay now that Las Vegas is being announced as an expansion team, because you're going to have other teams that are like, we have 2 goalies and we can only protect one. What are we going to do? We need to ship these guys off. And Dallas is going to be like, ding, 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 right over here. And now somehow we have leverage on you guys despite our horrible salary situation. We have leverage on you guys to get a good goalie from you for cheap.
Yeah, and then although both Lettinen and Niemi, they're both UFAs, I believe, at the end of next season. And then you ask the question, which do you bring back, or do you even bring either one of them back? Because neither one of them has played particularly well. I mean, especially in the postseason.
Ugh.
So I think that'll be interesting. And then you bring up the expansion draft, how that'll impact things as well.
And maybe that's what they're waiting for. They're just going to let it ride and hope that somebody takes one of their goalies in the expansion draft.
Here's the thing, though, is that Dallas is such a good team right now. I feel like how far could they really get with Niemi and Lettinen, who aren't very good in the playoffs? Because they only have a certain amount of time with the Stanley Cup.
They're in a bit of a catch-22 though, because I think 4 of their defensemen are UFAs, and not that their defense is that great, in my opinion, but they're going to need to sign some people up, and they're going to need that money from if they have to buy out Niemi or if they have to buy out Lehtinen. Or, I mean, you would think they'd want to trade, but last offseason proves that they brought in Niemi with the idea, because Lindy Ruff hates Kari Lehtinen, they brought him in with the idea of, well, we're going to trade Kari Lehtinen. Well, nobody wanted him, clearly, and they got put in that situation they're in now.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not muted. Yeah, I think that.
Would you like to be?
Maybe.
No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe I should be at this point. Yeah, I really think that that could be it. I mean, look, if you buy out either of these contracts, both of these contracts have some years left on them. So if you buy them out now, you're basically paying that buyout for the next 8 years, which isn't fantastic either. It's not really exactly something you'd want to do. So I think that they're kind of done. I think that's really the best they can hope for, is that expansion kind of solves one of their problems. And does Vegas take one of those goalies? I don't know, but you would think that depending on who else is left out there, they might. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. We'll have to talk on a future show when when expansion's all kind of settled and we can kind of talk about how they're going to fill their team. But you got to think that Dallas is banking on that to possibly remedy their issues.
It's funny that Dallas is the one banking on it, and everyone else is like worried about the expansion.
Oh, don't take my players. Sounds like goalies for everyone. Quebec, you in there too? Okay, good. There, both. Take them both.
Yeah. The biggest fans of the Quebec Nordiques, the Dallas Stars.
That's right. I don't think Quebec gets a team, by the way. But
No, I don't either.
for your sake. Let's talk about the World Cup of Hockey. So with a focus more on Team USA, and you're probably wondering, why does a Canadian want to talk about Team USA? I don't, but I know these guys will have some good opinions on it. So, and I think that Team USA doesn't get enough talk. To be fair, I think we can all agree on that. So I guess obviously the question I give to you guys at first is, what was your initial thoughts on the final roster? I'll start with Kevin.
I don't think it's that bad. It's not that great. I feel like they need more offensive firepower. I don't know how if you'd like me to break down by position, because I'm looking, their goaltending's amazing, no matter how you look at it. you guys already mentioned Corey Schneider, and they've got Bishop. They're pretty solid there. The one guy that I raised my eyebrows at that making the team was Jack Johnson. I mean, it's really a good story for him with all the off-ice issues that he's had to be on Team USA. But I look at a couple similar guys like Justin Falk and Keith Yandel that are not on the team. And I'm not saying they're necessarily better by a lot, but I would have looked at one of them before I look at Jack Johnson.
Better than Jack Johnson? I'd say yeah. Aidan, what do you got?
Yeah, I think it's all right. A little surprised that Kessel didn't make it, just with the season he's been having. But I don't know. You know, I think it's fine. That's all. That's all I got for it.
All right, Drew.
Yeah, looking at the roster, I mean, like I said before, the goaltending I really like. Defense, I would have preferred, you know, either Justin Braun or Kevin Shattenkirk instead of one of the Johnsons on the blue line. I would have liked to see Tyler Johnson make the team, but you know, that stuff like that always happens with these kind of things. That I was okay with the roster, and then I looked at Team Canada, and I was like, oh, we're screwed, because Canada's absolutely stacked. I mean, their centermen could be Crosby, Seguin, Stamkos, and Thornton down the middle. You kind of Thornton as your fourth line center, and honestly, I don't think Team USA has a chance against that.
Yeah, you know, an interesting name that no one mentioned is Phil Kessel. Like, to me, this is a no-brainer to put on the team. The guy's the third. You know, I think he's the third. He's in the top 3 American scorers over the past 5 years. Where are you guys on Kessel not being on the team?
Kessel, he should be there. He's one of the best offensive forwards that USA has. But if I'm Phil Kessel, I don't mind this, because I'm 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. I've never been this far from in the playoffs before. If I'm Phil Kessel, I'm used to chilling after the second week of April. So this is really the first time that he's had a shortened off season by 2 months. So not playing in the World Cup in September, not such a big deal to me. Plus, Pittsburgh, like half their roster made World Cup teams, so they're going to need someone that's fresh and ready to go in October.
But as an American, doesn't this upset you a little? Like, as a fan of Team USA, doesn't it upset you that someone with that much offensive talent isn't on the team?
I'm upset there won't be cookie jokes on Twitter when the World Cup comes around. But I mean, Kessel is a great offensive-minded player, and I think he should have made the team. I think they may be looking back at maybe last year in Toronto when he was like a -34 or something like that. But I mean, that's also on Toronto, so I take that as you will. I don't know why he didn't make the team. I would have preferred him over, say, like Justin Abdelkader or something like that. But who knows?
I like Abelgater, I'm not going to lie. Aidan, do you got anything? Why no Kessel?
I think it was just a snub. I mean, these things, these things always happen. With the All-Star game, there's snubs. With this, I think there is too. I mean, and he's shown this year when he's put on a solid team, he can play really well. But kind of what Drew was saying too, maybe they were just looking at the past a little bit, with everything, with how they've been doing these past few years, and they just decided to go with someone else.
It's funny, Greg Wyshynski said something interesting about the construction of Team USA. He said to him it was a team that could beat Canada 1-0 on a fluky goal. I don't know, like, what are your guys' takes on that? I kind of made me chuckle a little bit, because I think that, leaving off, especially, like, okay, fine, I get that maybe you're not the biggest fan of Phil Kessel if you're, Brian Burke or, what's his name, Torts, John Tortorella, maybe Kessel's not your favorite guy, but what about Tyler Johnson? Like, that, to me, that blew my mind that you don't have Tyler Johnson on the team. I thought he was just, he was such a catalyst for Tampa Bay.
The only thing I could think of, he got banged up a lot this year,
yeah.
Tyler Johnson, and that's the only thing I can think of, because that's a great name that should be on Team USA. I don't know if you guys want to delve into how the under 24, the 23 and under.
That was my
That
next.
was your next point.
Reading minds.
Yeah, because I mean that hurts them a lot. Like Alex Galchenyuk didn't make either team, and I'm pretty sure USA would have swooped him up if they could have, but he's 22, and I'll let you guys handle this before I chime in on that, though.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what my next question was going to be. As a fan of Team USA, which I hope you guys are, obviously. I mean, hey, if you hate your national,
I got my Team Finland jersey in the closet though. So.
Well, hey, you know what, and that's fine by me. If you hate your national team, I mean that's your choice. With Team North America though, do you think that made like a big difference onto? Do you think that made a big difference as to like onto how they constructed the team? Do you think that anybody that they picked up, like, do you think a Jack Eichel or an Austin Matthews makes Team USA if if this North America team isn't a thing, and maybe that makes them better? Or do you think that because of the way they put this team together, that it probably wouldn't have mattered?
I don't think it would have made that much of a difference, honestly. Like, maybe you have Jack Eichel on the team, maybe you have like Seth Jones on the team, but I mean, there's nothing that really stands out to me as like, oh, if this under 24 team didn't exist, he would have been on the big roster. And that's my take on it. I'm curious to see what you guys think.
Aidan?
I'm not gonna lie here. I don't really know the U23 Team USA roster.
That's fair.
So I haven't been following the World Cup of Hockey that closely recently.
Oh, what? Get off the show.
How can you not be excited about it with those amazing commercials and knowing that Butchergross and Melrose are going to be clogging your screen for a few weeks?
Please, no. And it's all on ESPN.
Yeah,
that's true. Yes. I'm actually, you know what? I'm actually excited to see how at first it took me a long time to really warm up to the idea of the Team Europe and the North American team, but I'm actually seeing the guys that are on there. I'm excited to watch them play. I'm going to tune in when they're playing for sure.
ESPN better bring back to a team.
I'm really excited. I mean, hopefully going forward they just let countries be teams again, and we can have like a real actual competition. Maybe have like a play-in thing so you can have. I understand we have to have a team so that we can jam Kopitar into this thing, and I get that, but I'm excited to see what they do.
I'm just waiting for the NHL is secretly hoping that 3 of the 4 semifinalists are USA, Canada, and the North American team, so Bettman can just be like, "Yep, I told you so." It's the NHL's the best hockey in the world, so you gotta come here if you want to be a good player.
Oh, man, that's fantastic.
I mean, I seriously think that they're just gonna have this smug look on their face, and if that happens.
I didn't realize Gary Bettman was Elmer Fudd, but you know what? It works.
Well, I don't have a trade to announce yet.
Somebody from that under 24 team who I think could have made their country's roster is Johnny Gaudreau. I think he could have maybe been on Team Canada because he's an absolute beast out there. Every time he's on the ice, he's a monster with the puck. He can score. He has great possession numbers. I mean, he's an all-around great player. So I think he could have made even that already stacked Canada roster.
That's fair.
Well, for the North American roster compared to USA, I mean, we'll see. Eichel for sure would be on USA. I don't know about some of the other guys, but I mean, Dubinsky makes Team USA because other guys don't. But at the same time, you look at Team Canada in the past, like Chris Draper was on a World Cup team and Olympic team. So you've got, role players or guys that are on there for a specific spot. Hopefully that won't burn them when it comes to a guy like Kessel needing to be there. But overall, this does help Team USA in the long run because now you've got more guys exposed to the international scene because everyone keeps talking or kept talking for years about, man, Team USA is going to be amazing in 2018. Well, now it looks like that's not going to matter because of the Olympics. So Team USA is going to be great in 2022. And they are. And they've got so many guys here that are, I mean, they're going to have, what, 35 guys in this tournament now. They'll be ready to go. Definitely. I would hope they're ready to go within another 6 years. But
Yeah, because I think that you bring up a good point there, because I think that's something that the NHL, at least in the States, doesn't do very well, is they don't really do a good job of highlighting the future guys coming in. And I think that is a huge issue. So I think this is I agree, it's a huge opportunity to really get some names that maybe they don't make the national team because Lombardi's constructing it and may not know completely what he's doing. He has a good idea, obviously. He has a couple of cups, so maybe I shouldn't talk too much crap. But
we're Sharks fans and we don't.
But we're Sharks fans, so I'm going to, damn it. No, but I think if you look at that, I think it's a great point, though, because I think that it's going to get some guys like from USA Hockey that should probably get more of a look and just more of a bigger stage to play on, and they're actually going to get that on the Team North America. So, you're going to see. I don't think Matthews. I don't know if Matthews would make Team USA if Team USA is just Team USA across the board, and now this guy is going to get on TV. Which is important because he's going to end up playing, he's an important American player who's going to end up playing in a Canadian market. I think we all agree on that. So I think that's huge. And, Eichel, obviously I think Eichel would make Team USA, and I agree with Slushy made a point in the chat, and I completely agree with them that he's supposed to be, the face of USA Hockey. But I guess it has to be Patrick Kane for one more year. Deal with that as you may.
You know who's going to be... Sorry, you know who's going to be motivated to do well in the World Cup for Team USA? David Backes. And if you don't know why, go on YouTube and look at his exit interview from the Stanley Cup Conference Finals. His heart was torn out. And so he's going to want to win this World Cup more than anybody, maybe in the whole tournament.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what?
He's also a free agent. I'm sorry, he's also a free agent after this season too, right?
Yeah, but if this thing's in September, so he's probably got a new contract by then. I don't think he's playing for a contract at the World Cup.
He'll be crying for a completely different reason if he doesn't have a contract in September.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ian.
Oh no, I'm just listening to the banter, to be completely honest. So how are we liking how are we liking the odds here? Are we liking Team USA regardless of the picks, or are we just angry Americans?
I'm an angry American, but I don't think there's anything we could really do about it.
We can be angry on the internet. What better than that? I mean, this is what the internet was built for, to be angry on the internet.
I mean, it's like, I don't think, and people are probably going to hate me for this, but I don't think no matter what team you put together for Team USA, it wouldn't match up against Canada.
But that's okay.
That's my 2 cents.
You can't. It's fine.
Can't beat Canada.
I know someone that'll match up real well with Canada.
Okay.
Team Finland, and I'm not because I have their jersey, but because every year they get that far and it makes no sense. And that is why Team Finland will challenge Canada in the end.
I think there's going to be some. I don't think this is Canada's team to run away with. I don't think it's their tournament to run away with. I mean, I think that, I give a lot of credit to Team USA. Now, maybe I don't agree that they put the best roster they possibly can out there, but I still think, like, this is a team of NHL players. There's no miracle on ice here, kids. Like, a team of NHL players can win an international tournament on, regardless of whether, what flag you're wearing. I don't know. Am I wrong on that?
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, they're all NHL players. They all play at a high caliber, but it will take some luck, I think, on the Americans' end to come out on top of this.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not saying like I would go in and put all your money down on Team USA. I'm just, but I think that there's a lot of teams in here that have a chance to really walk away with a medal here for sure. Whatever they get at the end of this, I guess they get a silly, weirdly designed trophy that no one likes.
It looks like the Zeo crystal from the old Power Rangers from way back in the day. I might be older than you guys, but that's what it looks like to me.
What do you guys think of Team Europe? What do you think of their chance?
Let's see.
Team Kopitar, I should say, because that's the
Team
only reason they made it.
Kopitar.
Team Kopitar.
That's the only reason they made Team World. I'm saying, or Team Europe, or whatever it's called. Team Europe, I believe.
I'm a little with the goalies. I'm not totally sold on their goalies
Yeah, I agree
for
with that.
Team Europe. Just because, I mean, Grice kind of took over for Halak towards the season. So, I mean, it's almost, you almost got to back up in there. Frederick Anderson, he's good. I definitely, I think that he's good. I'm not totally sold on Halak, though. But, I also don't fully know all the choices that they have for goalies from Europe.
I like their defense until I realized either Christian Ehrhoff or Lucas Spiza is going to be their sixth man. I kind of went downhill. But, I mean, their top pair is probably going to be Chara and Yossi, so that's going to be a damn good top
that's
two.
just not even right. It's not even fair. Not even fair. What about yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be okay. I don't know if I'd put a ton of money on them to win it either, but it'll be interesting to see. I like Finland. I don't really mind Sweden's team either. Sweden usually always puts together a pretty decent team. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to this thing. It's going to be fun. I mean, I will take hockey before hockey. I'll take hockey when there shouldn't be hockey, to be completely honest. I'd watch hockey all year round at meaningless August games. Bring it on. All right. You know what? One more point before we move on. Here's time for some controversy.
I'm good with this.
Do you think that they should be having a World Cup when they are, in terms of like right before the regular season? Because we've seen that with the World Baseball Classic, where top guys go over there and get hurt, or they're just worn down by the middle of their season. Is this going to be good for hockey in terms of later down the road in the middle of the NHL season?
I think it's gonna be okay, because it's kind of taking place during training camp anyway. So this is like Uber training camp. This is, instead of playing pointless exhibition games, like, you're actually playing games that matter.
Yeah,
So I kind of like it. You know what? It's going to be risk injury anytime you're not playing with an NHL, an NHL game. It's better than shutting down in the middle of the year, I think, for the Olympics. From an NHL perspective, I love the Olympics, but from an NHL perspective, I don't have to cut in my season, and I'm still taking in all the money. So from that perspective, you still get to have events like the All-Star Game, which are obviously big money makers for the NHL, whereas in an Olympic year, you forgo the All-Star Game, obviously. So I think it's, for the NHL, from a NHL perspective and from a finance perspective, it is what it is. I think it's a better thing for them, money-wise. Okay, so controversy. What do you guys think of this whole Slava Voinov? Can he come or can he not come? Do you think the NHL is making the right choice here? Did you see the brutal article that was wrote about it?
Oh, I didn't see it, but I used to write for those guys. So, I mean, I didn't see the article. Puck guy sent it over to me, but by the time I had gotten to it, it was already taken down. So I can't really comment on the article itself. But I mean, I used to write for the Hockey Writers, and yeah, there's a lot of stupid shit that they do, but there are a lot of really good writers. I mean, Dan Mount from the Nashville Predators, he's a really good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I just don't know what they're doing over there right now. But in terms of the Slava Voinov thing, in terms of the actual issue, I mean, the verdict is that he's not going to play it, correct? Right? That's
my understanding of it right now. Is the NHL says no way in hell, because he's suspended. He's under an indefinite suspension from the NHL.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure if the NHL should have the authority to make that decision, because you have people like Austin Matthews, who technically aren't part of the NHL, who are playing in this tournament. However, I am glad to see that he is not playing for whatever reason, or for whatever jurisdiction is making that decision.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the NHL's tournament. It's the NHL and the NHLPA are the ones putting on the tournament. So As far as jurisdiction goes, that's why they can do it, because it's their tournament, and if they can say if he's indefinitely suspended from the NHL, then that's the way it should be. I'll let someone else chime in.
Well, I didn't
sorry.
see the. Go ahead.
By-
Go ahead, because I didn't see the article. I know of the article, but I didn't read it. So.
Okay, I didn't read it either, but I agree with you, Ian. It is the NHL's tournament, and I mean he's suspended from playing in the NHL, or is not allowed to play. And if it's their thing, if they don't want him to play, it's their final say.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I was just gonna say Voynov shouldn't play because I mean there's a reason why he was suspended and basically just expedited out of North America. He doesn't belong. He doesn't belong in the tournament. As long as anyone that's suspended from the NHL, AHL, whatever, they don't belong there. So I mean the KHL, they like to take shortcuts, and but it doesn't fly here, and I have no problem with that.
And it's like, and even if you're the NHL and you do allow him to play in the tournament, what do you get out of that? I mean, you're just going to get really pissed off fans, and if you, by keeping him out of the tournament, you're doing a positive PR move. But if you let him play, I mean, there's going to be people who are going to, whether they actually do it or not, say like, hey, I'm not going to watch this because you're allowing, this abuser to come and play in this tournament when he's been out of the country, when he's been suspended by the league indefinitely. So, I mean, the NHL had nothing to gain by bringing him in.
And wasn't he facing like deportation too, or something like that before or after the incident? I mean, there's all this negative press surrounding him. I don't see a reason why they would let him play.
Yeah, I think it's too soon, for one. Like, I don't think that he should be barred from the NHL forever, per se, and I know maybe some people aren't going to like that answer, but it's, we're all entitled to our own opinions. But I think it's too soon. I think the fact that he's under indefinite suspension, that's significant, and if it's an NHL-sanctioned event, you're suspended from NHL action, then you shouldn't go. I mean, obviously there's going to be guys from the KHL coming over to play on Team Russia, and I get that. But Slava Voynov and the propaganda / apology piece for it was in such poor taste. Like, just I'm trying to word this properly. It was just such a bleh. It was just like, it was in poor taste. Like, it wasn't so much of an apology for it. It was more of a, well, haven't you ever made a mistake? And it's just dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that nobody else gets in trouble where the NHL goes, oh, you can still play, because that would be the can of worms that.
Yeah,
Sure. You know what though? I don't think the NHL would, and maybe if it's a star, maybe we see something different. I know people are going to scream in my ear, Patrick Kane, but Patrick Kane was never convicted of anything, so I don't know what the NHL is supposed to do there.
Now, what if this tournament had happened last year while that whole thing was still going on? Do you think Kane plays?
Oh, that is a excellent question.
And that is why Drew Weber is on the podcast.
Wow.
Because he hasn't been convicted yet, or he hasn't been convicted.
Say no.
I think he does play.
You think so? He might. Don't get me wrong. He might. I personally think the NHL might want to avoid that headache, but then again, maybe not.
Because now you get a superstar player who people are going to want to watch. You don't have like Slava Voynov kind of thing.
Slava Voinov's still a decent defenseman, though.
He's decent, but
he's a terrible human being.
Patrick Kane, though.
He's no Patrick Kane. No, I agree with that. I mean, if you think of what's wrong with Los Angeles, on their blue line, Slava Voinov's a big part of it, because he could move the puck, and man, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would like to think they wouldn't, but the NHL has done some pretty tone-deaf things in the past, so
I think just because he wasn't convicted, they would let him play. He never got charged with anything. I mean, like,
did Chicago suspend him though at all during that? I don't remember.
I don't think they did.
No.
I
think
don't
he
think
was
so either,
allowed
because he
to.
was at
Yeah.
training camp. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is interesting. I guess we can wrap up on the most important topic of the day: the Florida Panthers new sweaters. What do you guys think?
Ugh.
I love them. Here's the debate portion of the broadcast this evening.
Everyone, get your runway gear on, and we'll talk. I don't hate them, to be completely honest. I don't like them, but I don't hate them. I think that they're probably better than their old ones. I'd probably prefer them. They just don't look very hockey to me. They look very something else, and they lose points because the stripe doesn't go all the way around. I hate that. I hate when the stripe
That
ends
I
at the side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of the jerseys at all. I mean, first of all, the logo. I mean, we said this 1,000 times on Twitter and previously. Like, it looks like a soccer logo. Like, it looks like this thing was made to be on a team for like the Premier League or something like that. Not a fan of the jersey either. Actually, it reminds me a lot of the Gestapo-themed jerseys Team Canada had in 2014 for the Olympics. But I almost wonder if this design is going to be like the future of jerseys, because Team Canada did something similar in 2014 for the Olympics, and now you have you think of the Stadium Series jerseys, kind of had a similar layout to it. You have Florida going to this, and then you look at Team Canada's World Cup jerseys, and they also have that same kind of layout with the stripe going down the middle and the armband. So I wonder if there's more jersey designs if more of them start looking like this.
It's a good point. Hey, look it's Eric Kura, the boss. He came
Just
in
got a
because
beard in my-
he runs the joint.
Oh, we're
Let's
not
let him
doing a
talk.
very good job. We had to have Eric come
Made
on.
by the boss.
I was going to say I wasn't sure, but after I heard Lace Gary Bettman, we have a trade to announce.
We have a trade to announce.
The reason why I come on, first off, you guys are doing an excellent job.
Thank you.
I know this is the inaugural edition, so I just want to give kudos for that. Number two, along with doing Pucknology, one of my big things is sports logos and design. Of course, we all know about that great website, sportslogos.net. So this is like right up my alley, and I actually know the guy who actually designed the logos and uniforms.
Nice.
Oh, crap.
Oh man, we're all fired.
All I'm gonna say is I think it's a step in the right direction to have some uniqueness to it, which I think is really good with it. I think it needs a little more blue in the jersey, but I think you're going in the same direction. Now, Kevin, you said about, or I forget who it was as I was coming on here, about almost the template. I mean, you literally you put this next to the Sharks Stadium Series jersey, the Coyotes. You look at all the Stadium Series jerseys from this year. You're getting a template, and sometimes that's not good. I mean, you want to have some uniqueness. I mean, I look at the Penguins' home jerseys, and while they're a retro look from the past, it's unique. The Sharks have teal in theirs. It's unique. It stands out and makes a difference. If you're going to have jerseys that look the same, it's going to be an issue. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, the owner, I guess, of the Florida Panthers, I can't remember his Vincent Viola, I think is his name, or something like that.
Yeah,
he, I guess, was in the 101st Airborne, which is the emblem that I have shown you here, and so that was kind of the inspiration for why they've got the curved Florida at the top of the logo. And so he wanted a shield as well because of that. I really like the logo. At first when I saw it, I went, but I wanted to see how it looked on the jersey, and I actually really liked the jersey. I think the gold on it pops, and now that Pittsburgh has gotten rid of the Vegas gold for reasons that we'll see here on June 22nd. I think that it's nice that the Panthers are have actually gotten rid of the blue and going with a red and gold concept. But then the blue contrasts with the logo real nice. Though again, Ian mentioned that the stripe doesn't go around all the way around the back, and that's kind of weird to me because Montreal's has a similar design, and they don't have a problem with that.
I hate it. I hate stripes that don't go all the way around. It drives me batty.
Yeah, it doesn't look right. I mean, I look at like the Ottawa alternate and the Montreal one looks nice and classic. They figured out a way of how the numbers would work. I mean, my biggest pet peeve was how if you can it work when you're sitting up in section 228 row 18 seats 2 and 3. If you can't really recognize the numbers, that's an issue. Now, and if they went all the way around, the white numbers with the gold trim would get in the way of the white stripe with the gold trim. So I see what they were doing, but they could have avoided that.
Yeah, well, I think that's why they've got shoulder numbers and sleeve patches instead of the other way around. That drives me batty, but
yeah, there's some interesting little nuances to that sweater. Go ahead, Aidan.
Oh, so I kind of like how they have with the captain and the alternate thing. They got a little patch on the sleeve.
Yes.
I like that. I think it goes well with the because I feel like they're trying to do a military type look.
Very much.
With the new logo and everything, and I think that them having an actual patch on the side that says like captain and and it looks like a military type thing. I think that fits with the jersey, with the look that they're going for.
No,
yeah,
I
don't hate it. Go ahead, Derek. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I like that little touch of nuance, and that's the uniqueness that you can bring to a sweater, for sure. And that's something it could be like Detroit or Pittsburgh have that unique color on the sleeves, the contrasting color, or like the Sharks with teal, or just you name it, and you can have some uniqueness to it. But yeah, that's a nice touch.
And let's be honest, if the Florida Panthers ever go to war with the rest of the league, they're probably winning because they're going to be they're going to have it.
Anyways, great job, guys. I'll hand it back to Ian. I'm sorry.
You want to stay on for the Q&A?
Thanks, Eric.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Go
Thanks, Eric.
About the soccer comments that everyone's making, including Mr. Drew. I totally get that. I really do, especially when we have the earthquakes in our market and they have a similar logo. My thing on that is the Rangers, their logo is very soccer-esque if you think about it too, although it's not on their actual jersey. Do you think it's just because it's a shield? Because the Kings have a shield, and no one says that really looks
it's
like
the
a soccer.
sleekness of it. It looks like it should be on the front of a car.
I feel like the color scheme too kind of screams soccer to me.
Okay.
Like if you change the Panther into a Jaguar could use that as their logo.
Well, at least it looks like a panther now. I mean, instead of a rabid cat, although I loved their old logo, but it at least looks like a panther.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I mean, I was kind of hoping for like a Pink Panther logo. I think that would have been much better. No, you know what? I don't hate it. I don't love it. My initial thought was like, another, do we really need another red sweater in the NHL? But maybe we do. And there's a pretty kitty.
Yeah, that was actually the wrong picture. I didn't mean to put that one up, but there you go.
A picture of a literal Florida Panther.
Yeah, that's a literal Florida Panther.
I actually saw on Twitter yesterday. Are they going with an updated look for the third jerseys with the old logo? I thought
that's what I'm trying to actually pull up.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that right now.
I have it if I knew what.
Look at Kevin's prepared, man. He's better. He should host the show.
On it.
What do I know?
There we go. Okay, here we go.
All right, I got to focus on you. So show us the kitty. There we go.
There we go. So I like when I look at these side by side, I like the old logo better because there's just more detail, more design
more
to
angry,
it.
Too.
More
I feel like he's way more angry.
Yeah.
It's got more teeth.
But
And I'd be
I
angry if
thought
I
it
was
was
a
interesting though that they went with that for an alternate logo as opposed to just the same Panther picture but without the shield.
Well, you know what though? I think that this new one that they did, the updated one, I think this goes more with the look, of the new logo and all that. I think that if you update this, the old logo like this one here, I mean the color scheme and all that, I think it fits a lot better.
Yeah, I can agree with that because the colors are more in the new logo. The colors are more dull, and that fits the new design of the full Panther.
Mm. I mean, and also if you kept the old one, the new logo and the old logo, if you were to have that as a third jersey, they'd just be two different shades.
Yeah.
They'd be two different colors.
It'd be a branding issue.
Yeah.
That's true. But if you guys think it looks like a soccer logo now, wait until 2017 when Adidas takes over sponsorship with the jerseys. That's another thing. What's with Pittsburgh changing their logo slightly, Toronto changes their logo, Florida changes their logo, but a year before everyone's doing a jersey switch over.
I think you can get away with that, like just a logo without doing like a complete sweater changeover. I hope they don't overly change the sweaters. I kind of like the shark sweater now. I hope they don't change it again.
Yeah. Well,
I think some things are just
on the shoulders,
I know. I mean, you'd think that they, in Toronto, they need people to buy new sweaters. Like that's just the way it is. Like, everyone has one. So if you get like a new logo, then people will go and buy more.
And that's definitely the NHL philosophy. Go on, buy more merch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess putting Austin Matthews' name on the back isn't good enough. You have to have a whole new logo to go with it.
Oh my goodness! But yeah, Aidan, what do you think about just in general? You like it? Hate it? No?
I like it. I think it's all right. At first I wasn't a huge fan, but then after kind of thinking about the new, how with the military theme and everything, I like that they're doing that. That they're doing a type of military thing. I hate how the stripe doesn't go around though. I know you guys were talking about the numbers and everything. I agree with that, but I still it looks kind of disjointed. If you got a big stripe on the front, and then when you see the back, it just cuts off at the side midway through.
At least have like how the old Sharks jerseys had that black stripe down the. Well, didn't mean to show you my armpit, but a black stripe down the waist there. They could have at least done that to, make it flow a little bit better.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right, guys. So
I just did that.
I'm gonna wander us over to the Q&A, ask for a couple questions, and I got a couple for you.
I'm having problems with the Q&A, so I hope you guys are commenting.
Yeah, absolutely. So Felix asks, what do you think of the state of the NHL after this season? Like overall, is it good, bad, both? Who wants to jump ball that first?
In terms of what exactly?
In terms of everything.
Everything?
Yeah, just the general state of the NHL. Like, you think it's in a good place, it's in a bad place, is it in a mediocre place?
I think it's all right. I mean, you look at some of the decisions that have been made. I'm not huge on getting a team in Las Vegas, but I know some people are. I personally would have preferred to have one in Seattle so you can get that rivalry with Vancouver. There's cap issues, but I think that has to do more with the Canadian dollar not doing too well as opposed to the league doing stuff. I mean, it's fine for now. I don't know. That's a weird question for me. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'll let someone else know.
Kevin, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I think it's in a good spot right now, but it could be better. And I mean, San Jose is a team that they don't seem to want to market. I mean, we have to kind of self-market ourselves. They don't want to market it nationally, and so when the Sharks go to the Stanley Cup, they have to. It's nothing but Crosby because they don't know what they have out west. So they're just going with the familiarity of Pittsburgh, and that's why Pittsburgh's getting shoved down the throat. So if the NHL wants to expand to Las Vegas, I mean, I'm in favor of it, but you have to promote some of these smaller markets nationally. I mean, we're talking about what if it was the Sharks in Tampa Bay, how the ratings would drop? Well, why would the ratings drop? They shouldn't drop, but the NHL didn't do their due diligence. So
that's excellent point.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent point. Who hasn't talked yet? Aidan?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Kevin. I think that the NHL and especially with these big teams, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Canadian team, Canadians all like that, Toronto. I think that they put so much, they show so much of these guys. You see the Rangers and Washington and Pittsburgh and Chicago. They're always on Wednesday Night Rivalry, and on the national games. But they don't, Sharks actually got, they got it 5 or 6 times something. But you never see, Carolina or Tampa Bay, one of these smaller teams. You don't see them on national TV that much, and they never, they really don't market the teams. But other than that, I think the league's fine right now. If I'm comparing it to like the NFL, I think it's really it's in a good shape right now. I would have liked to see a Canadian or not a Seattle expansion.
Yes.
Other than a Las Vegas.
I'm pretty sure the NHL wants a Seattle expansion, but they just don't have the building right now.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
Exactly
Look, the expansion wasn't open for Quebec City. I mean, did they happily take the money from Quebec to do the application? Absolutely, they did. But I mean, this expansion was all about getting a team in Seattle and Vegas. Those were the markets they wanted. That's why they opened expansion. The problem is Vegas had all their ducks in a row, and the others didn't. Seattle, they can't get a building built to save their lives, and any building that is going to get built right now still has that stupid clause of they need an NBA team first, which is already just bad news if you want to put an NHL team in there, because I think that, I mean, obviously if you're getting in there when they're building the arena and you get that team in there first, so you make sure it's built with hockey in mind, that would be important, because if the NHL even went there now, you guys think the Barclays Center is bad for hockey? Go to the arena that's there. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Someone help me.
In Long Island, or?
In Seattle, the building that's there now, Key Arena.
Oh.
If it's standing still, I don't even know if it's standing anymore.
I'm pretty sure it's still there, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
I think it's still there. That's what I know. I don't know anything.
When you look at the Vegas stadium, though, if you've seen pictures, you can tell it's really. I mean, it's not specifically meant for the NHL, and you can tell because they have it's like the Barclays Center, where one side, instead of having the seats go all the way, all the way in a circle,
right,
or an oval, they have it where it's cut off, and there's that's where a stage would go or something. And I mean, I
gonna
hate
put
that.
the octagon.
Exactly, and I hate that that's how the Barclays Center is. In the car, Las Vegas better not put a car by the.
I think the car is the best mascot ever.
Dude, the car is the greatest source of Twitter humor ever.
It is. I was so happy when the Islanders got knocked out of the playoffs, though, just because I don't want to see the disgusting black interior of the Barclays Center with that weird white car where fans should be.
Winged Octopus saying that the WNBA still plays in the Key Arena, so it's definitely still.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So they have their basketball. Let's get us a hockey team. No, I think if they had their ducks in a row, they'd have a team. I think it's that simple.
Oh, yeah, they almost ended up with the Coyotes, so
right.
They could have done it, but Seattle's got it. And what happened to Portland? Since we're talking about it, there was a lot of talk of Portland, and then once the Coyotes almost moved to Seattle, all of a sudden, just Portland fell off the face of the planet. They fell into the Pacific Ocean, apparently. You know what?
It's funny because I think Portland is a good place. You have the
Winterhawks.
I can't remember any of these arenas. They have an arena that could hold the NHL there. I mean, it's not. It would be a smaller arena by NHL scales, but it's there. The Moda Center in Portland. I think that it's funny because I was talking on, I believe it was Twitter, and someone said that they didn't really, that there's a lot of concern that if they brought an NHL team there, it would cost them the Winterhawks, which they seem to love a lot, and I guess I get that. Just a cool hip team. I like the Winterhawks, but so I don't know if that's a factor. I think Portland could support. They have the population to support a team. It's again, do they have an owner, and and I think that would solve the. Is that? I think it would be north enough that they could claim that they now have coverage in that market. for monies, but oh man. Yeah, I like it. I like Portland. I think Portland could absolutely support an NHL team, but again, you need to have an owner that wants to A, put up the 5 million trillion zillion bajillion dollars, and
Yeah.
to put a team there, and that's I think that scared a lot of people off too, was that huge
I don't
expansion.
blame them.
No, I don't blame them either.
That baffled me. Because what was it? What was the entry fee for Columbus?
500 million or something.
Yeah, but no. But with Columbus and Minnesota, what was it? 17 million.
Something stupid. But they think, well, it's because the NHL is trying to say that that's how much all their teams are worth, and they for damn sure aren't. I'm sorry. You're trying to tell me that the Florida Panthers are worth 500 million? You're trying to tell me that the Carolina Hurricanes are worth 500 million? There's no way in hell any of the there's a good 10 teams that aren't worth that aren't worth anywhere close to that. I promise you.
If Carolina's trying to sell their team, I'd be curious to see if it's for 500 million.
It won't be. That's actually an interesting topic. Well, I completely derail Q&A because I read the other day that his sons, Peter Kramonos' sons, are actually suing him right now because he put money from their trust into the team and it hasn't come back. Sorry. And,
but I like the doggy in the background.
Oh, I know.
Carmanos.
Yeah, Carmanos. So it's interesting to see what happens there because he could lose control of that team. And that would be interesting because I think that Quebec, Quebec could work as a market. I don't think you need to expand there, though. I think you save Quebec for relocation. That arena is awesome. Like the Videotron Center is awesome. Nice. And I believe that team could survive. Canadian dollar, a little iffy, and I think that's the big issue. And I don't think it's a slam dunk. And this is as a Canadian. I don't think Quebec City is a slam dunk. I don't think Vegas is either, but I understand the logic of going to Vegas. Because as I've said many times, you put a team in Quebec, how many new fans did you make? 0. You put a team in Vegas, and it might take a few years, and by a few years I mean 20-ish, and bang, you have fans because you have kids that are going, and then some of those kids are going to be the ones that go and buy tickets later on.
It's the Coyotes logic. They're hoping they're going to spawn the next Austin Matthews.
It's slowly but surely. I mean, look at the Coyotes. The problem with the Coyotes is they've just been so poorly run. Mm-hmm. But have they made new fans? Obviously. I mean, look at Austin Matthews didn't pick up a football. He picked up a hockey stick. Yeah. That's important. That's super important to the NHL. The NHL just can't rest on the laurels of the fan they have. They have to expand to stupid places so that they can try and generate new fans. That's the way you're going to make more money. That's how you're going to create more revenue. And it might take some crappily run teams to make that happen. But when you finally have kids picking up hockey sticks that would have normally picked up a baseball bat or a football, that's what you want, and it takes time, and you have to kind of be patient. Now, yes, the Coyotes are, a disaster, and it's because, let's be honest, it's because they've been poorly run. It's because, it's hard to build a team when you don't see playoff hockey. San Jose is very fortunate.
And when it takes you an hour and a half to get from one side of the city to the other, and then
absolutely.
The arena's not even in Phoenix.
No, absolutely. That's definitely a huge issue too, and I think that's what you're starting to see. NHL teams, trying to move their arenas downtown. Ottawa Senators trying to get a new downtown arena because their arena's way in the hell out in Canada. Having an accessible arena is definitely important. And we've been really fortunate with the Sharks because they've been competitive, which has allowed them to really build a strong fan base. But winning's a big part of it. I mean, if you can't get a team in that wins, and this is why I like what they're doing with Vegas, because this Vegas team should be competitive right off the hop. It's not a cup contender, but I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than previous expansion teams.
Yeah, fit in with the rest of the parity of the.
Absolutely.
And you know what? No matter what you do with the team, if you can get a good team, even if it's in like you were saying, a nowhere place or whatever, if you can put a team that'll win or they're decent, people are going to want to see them just to see, a hockey team play or something. And then from that, you will get fans.
Look at San Jose.
Yeah.
Yep.
San Jose is the perfect example. Small town, definitely overshadowed by Big Brother San Francisco. Put a hockey team in here. People thought, well, that's cool. We actually have something of our own. And then, they won, so that helped build up the fan base.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We had Puck Guy ask a question. I just got to scroll up and find it. If you could change anything, since we were talking about sweaters earlier, if you could change anything about the Shark sweater aside from the logo, what would it be from their current sweaters?
Oh.
I'll jump all over that.
Go for it.
Go.
The shoulder patches need to be the California logo.
Yes.
I like that. I do like that.
That's a good idea.
And I'm guessing maybe with the Adidas jerseys, maybe that change will happen, but it's got to happen.
Do you want the 3 stripes, though, somewhere? Where are the 3 stripes?
No. I don't.
Go ahead.
I mean, the only thing I would change is I wish there was some black trim on the actual torso of the jersey.
This guy knows.
I just feel like it just kind of stops, like without any sort of. It's just like teal
Because there's no
body.
stripes on the waist.
Because
it makes it look like pajamas. I don't like that's the only thing I dislike is when they have no stripes on the bottom of a jersey at all. They look like pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well,
I
at
could
least, at least they have black pants with their teal jerseys. Not with the black jerseys, obviously. Whereas when it's the black jersey, it's just black.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I could change the sweater, I would use like the design of the Heritage sweater with the new logo and the NorCal logo on the sides. Like that would be my ultimate Sharks jersey, like the Heritage layout with the new logos. I think that would be. I'd buy 100 of those.
But would the stripes go all the way around the back?
Yes.
I think if I had to change one thing, I would just make it the Heritage jerseys and keep the logo.
I really like that.
Because
I don't care if we lost all the games in them.
I love the Heritage jerseys. Those things are beautiful.
I agree.
Those are nice jerseys.
You like
gotta suck in them.
Do you like the 12-inch numbers on the sleeves though?
I could do without that.
I don't care.
Just indifferent.
I could do without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be there, but
numbers.
it's not like a deal breaker for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Or should they be done with numbers on the front after this season when they take off the 25 patch?
So you get to 50.
Should we just end the numbers on the front of the jersey though? Where are you guys on that?
I mean, they've put the numbers on the front of the helmet, so
Yeah.
I'm honestly waiting for them to do the European thing and put numbers on the knees of the socks. Like that's the next step, I think.
All right. Any other questions in the chat? Let me just kind of scan through here quick because I know we got off on a little tangent. Let's see. I don't think we have anything else. Oh, here's another question. Will there be any fallout from the emails from the lawsuit in terms of hockey safety? I didn't even answer that question, actually, of where the hockey was. Do I think? Yeah, there's obviously going to be fallout here. There's been, the game is obviously going to have to, in my opinion, they're going to have to get better at protecting players, which might lead to more stupid suspensions that maybe shouldn't be suspensions, or, I think we're in for another round of culture shock where it was like, oh my God, that's a suspension now? That was never a suspension. Scott Stevens is the best. What are you talking about? Yeah, I think, obviously, look, this is going to cost the league a ton of money, whether they go to a verdict, which they won't, or they settle out of court, which they will. This is going to cost them money. This is going to cost them revenue. They can't just continue to be, I don't want to say negligent, because I don't think they're negligent at this point. I think that there's good things in place, and I think part of the responsibility goes on players. You have to have a player that's willing to sit in the quiet room. You can't, like there's that part of it. So I think
Who was the player that in the playoffs, the last round, that got, people were thinking they got concussed, and then he came out 2 minutes after that? I can't remember who it was.
Oh.
I know that's gonna bug me for the rest of the night. I'm gonna look for
things like that. Right?
What series was that in?
I think it was Pittsburgh Tampa.
Was it Tyler Johnson?
Maybe.
I thought
so good.
I thought a guy in the Lightning took a hit or was it Chris Letang?
I think it was Chris Letang.
He got hit in the back and he went into the quiet room and then he came out a few minutes later. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I should answer the first question.
Hmm.
I should answer the first question. Is hockey in a good place? I think hockey is in a good place. I think that the TV numbers are okay, considering the teams that went through. I think the only thing that I would change right now if I had Gary Bettman God power is I would just get rid of these stupid things for chintzy offside calls. I don't care if he was a millimeter offside. If you can't catch it with your eye, shut up.
Yeah.
Play the game. Don't waste 5 minutes of my time on a stupid thing where they look at it on a frickin' iPod.
At least get them something to look at it on rather than.
I hate it. Like, why don't they send this to Toronto? I know Shark fans aren't a big fan of Toronto. Sometimes they don't really like us for calls, but I feel like there's this room with huge 50-inch monitors and all this other crap, and we're looking at calls on an iPod. Just send it to Toronto if we're going to do it. I'm tired of these. I don't mind goalie interference. I think goalie interference, that's a good challenge. But this offside, especially for what it's been used for, these, inch offside, they need to change the rule where if my skate's off the ice, it's offside, but if it was on the ice, it's onside. That's just dumb, convoluted. You're not going to get new fans when you have so many little stupid rules like this. Like, you want to make it interesting to the new fan. You want to have a new fan watch. You want them to understand. And I think stupid rules like this that go back to the Stone Age don't help the game. They don't help. So get rid of that.
I think this Stanley Cup is going to be determined on a play exactly like you just described.
Well, the Sharks better get their acting gear then. Zach Devine has a question for us. San Jose Sharks prospect closest to helping San Jose. I will answer first. My answer is Timo Meier, without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
Sorry, man. Yeah, Timo Meier, definitely.
I think he's got the physicality. I think he can play in all three zones. I think that I think he can help next year. I think there's a spot for him on the team next year. I like Nikolai Goldobin. I could see him definitely coming up and helping on the offense. Depending on what they do in the offseason, I don't know how many spots there are. And I think that Meier has a more complete game. That's my opinion.
I've seen Goldobin quite a bit with the Barracuda this year, and he's definitely got the offensive skill. And I don't think he's as bad defensively as people gripe on him about. I watched him back check like mad during the playoffs, but I don't. We have a team that's in the Cup Finals, so I don't expect big changes. So there's not a whole lot of spots, especially if Meier makes the team. I think Goldobin starts with the Barracuda before at least for a month or two.
What about? Go ahead. Do you guys see DeMello making the lineup next year? You think Polak's done? DeMello makes the lineup?
I think Polak's done. DeMello makes the lineup. Yeah, I agree with that statement. Polak has been, and it's been all over Twitter, whether Andrew bench or not. That Polak, he's not playing well, and I don't necessarily want to fault him for it. I just don't think Dylan and Polak go well together because they play the same style. They're both hard-hitting people who can clear people out in front of the net, but neither one of them's a puck mover, so that's why they're getting stuck in their zone. If you play Polak with somebody like a Vlasic, like a good puck mover, I think he could be a very good defenseman. But Dylan and Polak together, that's just not. It's not good chemistry. You're playing them together solely because they're left-handed, right-handed. And I think.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish up.
No, but I think I mean, you let Pollock walk, but you solve that problem for Dylan because I feel like DeMelo's a better puck mover than Pollock is. I feel like uh, he can he plays a different style than Dylan does, and that'll benefit the both of them.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that when it comes to Pollock, though, it makes me nervous because I feel like Doug Wilson always has a defenseman like this on the roster, so I'm a little bit nervous about it. But and I think the thing with DeMelo, I like DeMelo, don't get me wrong, but DeMelo and Dylan played some really, really sheltered minutes.
Yeah.
And I think that's something to note. And I like DeMelo. And if it's my call, it's DeMelo all the way. I know a lot of people are like, get Pollock out of the lineup now and put DeMelo in. And I don't know. How do you shelter anyone from the Penguins' like waves of line? I know we weren't going to talk about the Sharks, but I have to ask that question. Like, how do you shelter anybody at this point? Because it seems like the Penguins are just wave after wave after wave, kind of like what we did to everyone else.
Dylan and Pollock, I thought, did fine the first few rounds, but obviously they don't have the speed to be able to handle the Penguins, and I don't see the speed with DeMelo either. It is an upgrade over those two, but I don't. I liked Drew saying Vlasic and Pollock and Dylan and Braun would then be the other pair. I think that at least you have some balance. It may not work.
It may not work. You're right.
You gotta try.
Yeah.
I'm curious if maybe the coach DeBoer, I can't pronounce his name. Anyway, if he's maybe moved the lines around a little bit just to see how they look during practice at all.
Not that I've seen. I know.
The only thing I noticed is Carlsen was playing top line because Hurdle wasn't at practice.
Yeah, which scares the hell out of me.
Considering
I hope that
Hurdle's
he
the
plays.
one who's been playing well.
You know, I agree, and I don't want to take any thing away from Hurdle, but anytime I've watched Thornton or Pavelski with the puck, they're getting double teamed, and I sometimes wonder if it's really Hurdle's being so awesome, or if Hurdle's just getting the least attention and thus being able to take advantage of some double manning on Pavelski and Thornton.
True.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I could see that.
I don't know though, because I'm still not sold on Pittsburgh's defense, and we haven't had the puck to try and even exploit that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, and I think that you can definitely. That's something that I think the Sharks will have to look at going forward, especially with them now that they can decide the matchups. And I don't really think it's been a super big matchup thing. Laurel asked if are we panicking? I'm not. Are you guys panicking? I'm uncomfortable. I'm not happy. I'm not panicking.
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm gonna be totally real with you. I'm getting there because, I mean, if these two games were, say, 7-2 finals and 6-1 finals, I think we'd all be panicking. But the thing is that Martin Jones has kept us in it to make it at least look close. I mean, I haven't seen much good aside from like the second and third period of Game 1. They looked okay, but they weren't dominating like they had been before. And other than that, they've just been stomped on this entire Cup final. And with Pittsburgh having, Malkin, Crosby, and Kessel all on different lines, and meanwhile you have a bottom defensive pair that we don't fully trust. Not sure how well we're going to be able to counter that.
I think, that's a good point. And I think that the only counter I would have for that, for anyone looking for optimism, was that the Sharks, with a lucky bounce, they could have won either game.
That's true.
And I feel like, if the Sharks get a bounce, maybe they win one of those games. And look, I want to see a strong outing in Game 3, obviously. If they lose Game 3, then I'll start digging the shovel. I'll grab the shovel. I will start digging a hole for the logo to go in. At that point, obviously, I think we pretty much know how this is going to go. And if we win Game 3 and lose Game 4, I'm still in the same situation. In my opinion, the Sharks want to win me over and make me believe that we're going to win this series. I need a win in Game 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less, I believe they're done.
The thing that concerns me is this feels an awful lot like the series against St. Louis in 2012, where the Sharks won one game because they were lucky, and then had no chance after that.
That's a good poll. I was gonna say it reminds me of last series, but just reversed. But that's a good poll. 2012. Yeah.
I don't want to go too deep into this because I know the guys are probably looking at me like,
Oh, yeah.
Ian, we have a free game to do tomorrow. You asshole, what are you doing? So I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna have one more question, and then we're gonna wrap this up for the night.
Right.
Zach is saying, how badly do the Sharks need to shorten the benches to get back into the series? I don't know if they need to shorten the bench. I think you need to adjust the lines. I think I really think it's time to put Marleau back in the middle of the third line. If you don't have Hurdle, I don't know. I don't even know what you do at that point. But I guess Subris comes back in. I really think that Marleau going back down to the third line would be huge. I think that would really help a lot.
Didn't
Go
they? In Game 2 in the third period, didn't they move Marleau?
They did.
Did they move? Was it to the third line? I don't remember.
Yes, I believe Marleau was playing third line, then Donskoy and Ward.
Ward moved up to the
Yeah.
second. They actually, I think that they looked, they looked pretty good. I mean, they weren't, dominating them, but I think that in the third period when they mixed up the lines and Marleau moved to the third center, I thought that they were in it. I thought they were in the game for a little while.
Especially if you control the match. Like if you control the matchup, you have last change with Marleau on the third line.
Mm-hmm.
You have a line you can put out against, either Crosby. You have a line you can put out against Kessel, and a line you can put out against Malkin.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I see it. I mean, that's what's really they've really been able to exploit us because you basically have Malkin playing against Tierney, or the fourth line, which already has kind of been seen its ice time completely diminished. And I love Chris Tierney. Everyone knows that I love Chris Tierney, but Chris Tierney is not a match for Evgeny Malkin.
He can't play against Malkin. That's unfortunate. Because actually, at the eyeball test, I honestly don't think he's been playing this badly. And then I looked at his stats, and it's like, oh, no, he's been playing pretty badly. But I mean, I've liked Chris Tierney this entire postseason. But yeah, you're right. He's no match for Evgeny Malkin.
No, and that's nothing. That's not a bad thing. I mean, Evgeny Malkin's.
You're playing a kid against a freaking Russian monster.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, what are you gonna do, right? And look, you got to give the Penguins credit, man. They've played us exactly how you need to play us, and it's
Exactly.
working out for them. I'm hoping. I want to see the Sharks fight back. I want to see the Sharks win a couple of games, especially. Look, man, we waited 25 years for this. I would love to see the home fans get something to cheer about, and not the opposite. No one wants to see the opposite. But I guess with that, we should probably wrap it up because we've been on for a little bit now. Obviously, thanks for everyone for taking the time to watch. I hope this is something that you guys found interesting, something you'd want to watch in the future. Even though we kind of only touched on the Sharks at the end, I hope there was enough, just good hockey talk and you were hockey educated. I guess I will go around the table for final thoughts from the thing. I will start with Aidan.
What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
There's a lot of stuff.
Say whatever the hell you want. Tell them where they can find you. Tell them what you do.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm a writer for Pucknology.net. I do post games. I do editorials, all that kind of stuff. You can find me on Twitter at Sharkators, exactly how it sounds with the spelling. And hopefully you guys tune in next time. I thought this went pretty well.
I thought you did too. Drew.
Well, thanks y'all for tuning in. I'm Drew. You can find me at Puck Over Glass on Twitter. I'm a writer at Pucknology, and if you read one of my articles, you'll be guaranteed to see at least one War on Ice graph. So that's how you know it's
analytics guy.
I
can't write analytics and make it I always if I write analytics, I put myself to sleep. So I'm glad that you can do it, and I actually can stay awake through it. It's a much needed thing on Pucknology.
Love me some fancy stats.
Go ahead,
You do a
Kevin.
better job. Oh wait, I don't want to bury someone, but there's a guy on TSN that does analytics, and I can't stand him. But you're all right.
All right.
Shots fired. Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, I am Kevin Lacy at KevinLacy22, and you can find me in Gilroy, California, July 17th. for Premier Professional Wrestling because I'm a ring announcer. But I'm also an occasional contributor to Pucknology.net. I'd like to do more. We'll see what happens, but thanks for having me. And I do also just want to selfishly say, actually, during this broadcast was the exact 11-year anniversary of my father passing away. I have his jersey behind me. So I just want to say I love you, Dad, and you're greatly missed. And so thanks for distracting me tonight, guys, because, you know.
Awesome. I mean, I'm glad we were, and condolences, obviously.
Mhm.
Yeah, look, I'm Ian Reid. I do everything. I'm on Pucknology After Dark. I do this little podcast called Teal Tinted Glasses, which isn't going anywhere for people. I know that there's been a little bit of concern that I'm doing this and there hasn't been a TTG, and everyone's kind of like been like, "What's going on with TTG?" Nothing's going on with TTG. It's honestly, it's been just, it's a scheduling issue. We've had trouble because we normally go on Wednesdays, and that's for a reason. And with the Stanley Cup Finals, both games being on a Wednesday, it's kind of really screwed up our mojo. So we will be doing a show after the final is over. And then, we'll probably a little bit less over the summer, but we'll probably go to like a bi-weekly schedule. But nothing's wrong with TTG. There's no drama. There's nothing to worry about coming back, I promise. I also write on Pucknology. You can find me doing game days editorials if I have time. And I say a lot of things on Twitter at @IReadPucknology, usually fun stuff. That's it. Other than that, guys, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for giving this new show a chance. I hope that you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, please hit the subscribe button. And and have a good night. Any feedback you want to give me, just DM me. I'd be happy to hear it. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.